I never wanted trouble with the HOA. That's why I bought land outside the neighborhood limits. 40 acres of peace and quiet, right next to their high-end, cookie-cutter subdivision. I own a ranch with horses, a barn, and a few cows. My family has lived on this land for generations, long before the HOA even existed. I made it clear when they tried to include my property in their boundaries. Not interested. And legally, they couldn't force it. That didn't stop them from trying. It started small. HOA board members would accidentally walk onto my land during their weekend patrols. Once, I caught a landscaper trimming my trees because it looked messy from the street. I sent a cease and desist letter. Things went quiet for a while until the wedding. It was a Saturday morning in early spring. I went to town to pick up supplies. When I returned a few hours later, my jaw nearly hit the dirt. My pasture, my land, had been transformed into a wedding venue. Rows of white folding chairs stretched across the grass. There was a huge white canopy tent, decorated with flowers, streamers, and twinkling lights. A portable altar had been set up in front of the pond. There were even valet signs near the entrance. I saw people in suits and dresses milling about. A catering truck was parked by my barn. Someone had plugged into my outdoor power outlet to run the sound system. I parked my truck. Fuming, I found a woman in a headset barking orders near the tent. "Who gave you permission to be here?" I asked. She looked confused. "This is a wedding venue," she said. "We rented it through the HOA. You didn't rent anything. This is private land. My land." Her face turned pale. "Wait, isn't this part of the Whispering Oaks community?" "No," I snapped. "It never was. And I've got the property lines and legal documents to prove it." She stammered something about talking to the HOA president, but I wasn't hearing it. I marched straight to the tent and started unplugging cables. The speakers went silent. The music cut out. Panic spread. Guests stared. I heard someone yelling, "What's going on?" A woman in a white dress, the bride, came storming toward me, followed by an older woman in heels and pearls. "Excuse me, what are you doing?" the bride shrieked. "Removing trespassers," I said flatly. "This is my wedding day," she yelled. "Then you should have picked a legal venue." Her mother jumped in, furious. "The HOA assured us this land was available." "Well, the HOA lied," I said, and I pointed the cattle fence at the edge of the pasture. "That's their border. Everything beyond it belongs to me." They screamed, cried, begged, said it was too late to move everything, that the guests were arriving, that it would ruin everything. And you know what? I still didn't care. I got on my ATV, hooked it up to the tent ropes, and started pulling. The canopy snapped. Decorations flew. One of the catering tables collapsed. It wasn't pretty, but it got the message across. By now, the HOA president himself, Mr. Gregson, had shown up, red in the face and full of excuses. "I thought we had an understanding," he said. "No," I said, "you had an assumption. Now you're going to have a lawsuit." I made sure everyone was off my property within the hour. Police were called, but after I showed them my property deed and video evidence, they told the wedding party they had no case. Trespassing was clear. Damages were real. The bride and her family ended up trying to cram the wedding into the HOA clubhouse, which, by the way, didn't have enough room or parking. I heard it was a disaster. The groom's side didn't even stay for the reception. A week later, I sued the HOA and won. They had to pay for all the damages, including soil repairs, utility theft, and destruction of property. They also issued a formal apology and were slapped with a hefty fine by the city for unauthorized event planning. As for me, I installed new fencing with clear no trespassing signs and added motion cameras all around the ranch. Now, every time an HOA member drives by, they slow down and look the other way. I just tip my hat and keep riding. Funny thing, they haven't tried to include me in their little community ever again. If you like this story, please share your comments. Moral of the story? If you're planning a wedding, maybe double check the venue is actually yours to use. Because out here, we don't play games with land rights.